Good morning. It's Wednesday, June 7th, and I was looking through the papers yesterday to find something to talk about, and I recognized the fact that Chris Christie is now going to jump into the presidential race. And I said, let's take a look at the candidates because there's a lot of people running. So I'm going to give you a quick rundown of who's in the race. I'm going to start with the long shots, people who barely register and are hardly nationally known. But there's always a possibility that one of these people will, as the expression goes, catch fire. But it's much more likely that these people will drop out of the race very quickly. You got Chris Christie, who was a New Jersey governor, and he once was a Trumpite, but now he's become a very loud critic of the former president. But I don't think he has much chance. Haley, they both come from South Carolina, so those two will be in contention between themselves. And Scott is a great fundraiser, but he has a sunny disposition and he doesn't bring the fire to the table. Plus he's black, and I don't know if that will work for him or in favor of him, so I would scratch him off the race. Then you've got Vivek Ramaswamy, an investor and a former pharmaceutical company CEO, and he's got plenty of money. He can pay his own way, and he's a big critic of the wokeness among corporations and other institutions. So I give him very little chance, and who knows how well he'll do in the primary debates. But he can afford to run on his own money, and that's a big plus, I guess. But then again, there's a lot of people who lose in that category, and they get tired of spending their own money. Then there's Perry Johnson, a gentleman who failed in his last campaign to even get on the ballot for the governor of Michigan, but he's a self-declared quality guru, whatever that means, so I would scratch him off the race very quickly. And we have the governor of Arkansas, Asa Hutchinson, who's an ex-U.S. attorney, a congressman, and he's the two-term Arkansas governor. But I don't think he has much chance of running, and he's one of those people who defended Trump in his bid to overturn the 2020 election. So I don't give him much chance at all, and I would scratch him off the list as fast as possible. Now we come to Larry Elder, who's a former conservative media personality, and he's expected to try and win by collecting some of the black vote. But he failed miserably in California when he tried to overturn Governor Gavin Newsom. So I don't give him much chance at all. He was a personality on TV, but that's all he has going for himself. And he better get out of the race as quickly as possible. Now we come to Ryan Bink, a Dallas area businessman and a non-denominational pastor. And he's concentrating his efforts in Iowa right now, and he's banking on some of his religious philosophies to get him over the hump and into the campaign. But I don't give him much chance. He's little known, and I don't know that the country's ready for a preacher to become president. So scratch him off the list. Now we come to the contenders. Those who will be in the ball game, but they're not at the top tier yet. And the contenders are running good campaigns with enough money and enough staff to be competitive, but still they have a ways to go. And the contender right now doesn't have enough support to guarantee an early state win or something. But they are in contention. They are well-known personalities. And the GOP electorate might come through for them. Or maybe they could play some other kind of king or queen maker down the road if they switch and decide to throw their votes toward some other candidate. The first person in that category is Mike Pence, who in my opinion waited way too long to get into the race. But he proved to be an honorable person when he stood up for the 2020 election results and did his job and became an enemy of Trump. So if you do your job and you become an enemy of Trump, in my mind, that's a good thing to be able to run on. But I don't know if his personality is exactly right to capture the nomination. That's a wait-and-see situation. I can't cross him off that quickly, but he's an outside shot. And the other person, of course, is the only female in the race, and that's Nikki Haley. And she said she did a good job when she was the governor of South Carolina, and she did a wonderful job as the UN ambassador. But unfortunately, she turned into a Trumpite. And in her appearance on the CNN show the other night, which was a preliminary to campaigning for the presidency, she did very poorly on the question about guns. Extremely poor, where she said people have a right to defend themselves. And in my mind, not speaking out against gun violence vehemently is not a good way to run for president. But that's the way it is. I don't think she's going to make it because she really hasn't got the guts that I see. But she's on there and she'll probably last a long time. And now we come to the front runners, who are Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump. And they're the favorite. And they have established major campaign infrastructure. They got plenty of money. They got staff in the key states. They got outside groups ready to bombard the airwaves with advertising for them. And they have built up broad coalitions and garnered many endorsements from the party leaders. So that's between Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis. And DeSantis would not be my candidate because of his book banning and his attitude in running the state of Florida. So when he bans books and defends himself and is trying to turn the country into a bunch of misguided educationalists, I'm against him 100%. And Donald Trump, of course, has his own problem. He's been indicted. He's got enough lawsuits to keep him busy and not be able to pay attention to running this country. But he raises money like crazy, and he's still popular among about 40% of the Republican base. So he could win the election. He could win it if people are not fed up with him already. So he's been a dominant force in American politics. But it's not always been a good force. And if you watch the way he ran his presidency, picking out some of the poorest people to work for this country, I don't see how he could win again. But he's leading, and that tells you something about the Republican constituency. So those are the contenders and the long shots. And we'll see where this goes in the future. We'll see who wins the nomination. And I don't know who it is, but I don't think any of them are going to get my vote. Take care. Have a great day. Bye.